I was just hanging out with Rogan yesterday, Joe Rogan, and I mentioned to him that as me being a fan of his show, that I would love for him to talk with you, and he said he's up for it. Any reason you guys haven't done it already?
I don't know. I've only met Rogan once and I liked him. I met him at the UFC in New York. He was with somebody a mutual friend of ours. And Rogan changed media. I mean, maybe more than anybody. And he did it. What I admire about Rogan without knowing him beyond meeting him that one time. I mean, I'm still in media, but I've always been in media. It's like not a great surprise. I'm doing what I've always done, just a different format. But Rogan, he's got one of those resumes that I admire. I like the guy who's like, I was a longshoreman, I was a short order cook, I was an astrophysicist, I was, you know what I mean? It's like, he's called a man of parts. And this guy was a fighter, a stand-up comic. He hosted some, Fear Factor. And how did he wind up at the vanguard of the deepest conversations in the country? How did that happen? So I definitely respect that. And I think it's cool. And Rogan is one of those people who just kind of came out of nowhere. No one helped him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
He was doing the thing that he loves doing, and it somehow keeps accidentally being exceptionally successful.
Yeah, and he's curious. Yeah. So that's the main thing. And there was a guy, without getting boring, but there was a guy I worked with years ago who kind of dominated cable news, Larry King. And everyone would always beat up on Larry King for being dumb. Well, I got to know Larry King well, and I was his fill-in host for a while. And Larry King was just intensely curious. He'd be like, why do you wear a black tie, Lex? He'd be like, because I like black tie. Why do you like black tie? No, everyone else wears a striped tie, but you wear a black one. Why? And he was really interested.
Yeah, genuinely so, yeah.
Totally. And I want to be like that. I don't want to think I know everything. That's so boorish and also false. You don't know everything. But I see that in Rogan. Mm-hmm. Rogan's like, rah, how does 100%. That work? And people will, and it's so funny how that's threatening to people. It's like Rogan will just sit there while someone else is, freeballing on some far out topic, which by the way, might be true. Probably truer than the conventional explanation. People are like, I don't know. How can he stand that? He had someone say the pyramids weren't built 3,000 years ago, but 8,000 years ago. And that's wrong. It's like, first of all, how do you know when the pyramids were built? Second, why do you care if someone disagrees with you? What is that? This weird kind of groupthink. It's almost like, fourth grade, there's always some little girl in the front row who's acting as the, kind of the teacher's enforcer. Whip around and be like, sit down. Didn't you hear what Mrs. Johnson said? Sit down. That's it's the whole American media. How dare you ask that question? And Rogan just seems completely on his own trip. He doesn't even hear it. He's like, well, really? When were the pyramids built? And I was like, oh, I love that.
Yeah, curiosity, open-mindedness.
Yes.
But, the thing I admire about him most, honestly, is that he's a good father. He's a good husband. He's a good family man for many years. And that's his place where he escapes from the world to. And it's just beautiful.
Without that, man, you're destroyed.
Yeah.
If I had a wife who was interested at all in any way in what I did, I think I would have gone crazy by now. When we get home, she's like, how was your day? It was great. Oh, I'm so proud of you. That's the end of our conversation about what I do for a living. And that is such a wonderful and essential respite from, you said, how do I not become an asshole? To the extent I haven't, I kind of have. But how have I not been, transformed into a totally insufferable megalomaniac who checking his Twitter replies every day or every minute? It's that. Yeah, you got to have the core of your life has to be solid and enduring and not just ephemeral and silly.